Good guys, welcome back to another trade recap. So today we're just gonna make it a quick little short recap, nothing too crazy. Gonna do bar replay, of course. Like I said, we're gonna do that from now on because it makes the most sense. Probably more engaging for you guys, help you all out. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. We made about $4,000 today. It was like 39.83 or something like that. Nothing too crazy. Usually I scalp, but today we ended up catching a little over how many ticks? Yeah, about 360 ticks. A little bit less actually because we never ended up getting that full run down to the 4 hour gap that I wanted to see entirely. But without any hesitating, let's just get straight into the recap. So if we go and look in the 1 hour time frame here, you'll notice that we actually did come up and run this 1 hour gap. We did end up running it at around 9 a.m. So the 9 a.m. candle actually created equal highs here, and the 9 a.m. candle on NQ ran up and took the high, and we basically tapped midnight open to the tick as well as this 1 hour breaker here. We did end up running the previous day low already, but I thought all this price up here was already rebalanced. We had an SMT with Asia highs, which ended up getting ran out during the pre-market. But at the same time, I wasn't expecting any higher prices because this new week opening gap was rebalanced too. If you look in the higher time frame, and this 4 hour gap was unfilled, but at the same time, we really weren't showing any signs of displacement towards that drawn liquidity because we had this big sell off during the pre-market, which kind of gave me my bias for the day. But we did end up chopping, a little bit of search and destroy conditions coming into the morning. So yeah, we had this 1 hour gap tap here, and there was no prominent SMT inside of this 1 hour gap besides this. If you look here on the 5 minute, we actually did run up here at this wick. So the the data highs ended up running into this 5 minute gap, and the data highs on ES failed to run up into that gap. So we had an SMT there. You can look on the 10 minute as well. We did the same exact thing, failed to run it. NQ did. Same thing on the 15 minute. So we had a bearish SMT there. If you hop down to the 1 minute time frame, you'll notice that the open was about right here. Hold on a second. So boom. Here's the open right here, this black candle, and then we end up sweeping out this low. I did see these low resistance lows here, and I did see this low down here. I did want to see this gap here, very small, and I did want to see this volume imbalance. But unfortunately, in our trade, we never ended up going that low until later on in the day. So I ended up just taking partials when the time was right. Why does this keep going back? Okay, so if you look, we ended up running lower off the open. We ended up creating relative equal lows right here, which then we ended up running up higher off of that back into about equilibrium of the range. And at this point, we ended up just kind of hesitating, chopping, nothing clear at all to take. And right here at the macro around 950, we ended up finally running that low, sweeping out both of these lows here. Right now at this point, I did notice that we had all these low resistance highs. So before shorting, I wanted to see these highs get ran out first before taking anything. There was this 1 minute gap here, but of course, this wasn't valid to take at all because, at this point, there was no SMT, there wasn't anything telling me that we wanted to short yet. And at the same time, I wanted to wait for 10 a.m. to see what the open of 10 a.m. would do. So I ended up waiting for the 10 a.m. and we got the 10 a.m. open right here. So you could see we actually opened and then we ran up and took out those low resistance highs, leaving behind a 1 minute gap. If you notice as well, we actually remitigated the midnight opening price, and we also SMT'd with these highs with ES. And we also tapped consequent encroachment, or the midpoint of that hourly gap. So as soon as I saw that, and then at that point, we got a run lower right there below that gap. I ended up shorting right after this candle at 10:07. So I got my fill there. It was a market fill. And then I ended up holding my first position all the way down to this low. And that's where I took my partial at, basically took off half. And then from here, I just decided to trail my stop because there was a very high chance that we probably didn't want to run this low or that 4 hour gap or 4 hour volume imbalance that I wanted to see initially. So I ended up taking my partial there, probably should have taken everything off at this low now that I think about it. Hindsight, but it is what it is. I ended up getting stopped in profit there. Not a huge deal. We still banked today, but yeah, that was the only trade that I took. A lot of confluences. It's high probability. It was great. The only thing that was a little weird was that this leg here traded into this 2-minute, and then we immediately rejected it. But at the same time, it still looked clear to me that we wanted to run down here just because of everything that we had. It was a lot of confluences stacked up on top of each other. And yeah, at that point, I was just like, okay, it's probably going to end up working. I might as well put on risk. But yeah, the reason I went in with 2 contracts instead of my normal sizing, like, 5 to 6 micros, is because, this is a big move. It's 90 points. Usually I catch maybe 20, 25, 30 points for like a quick scalp. If I did go in with a little more sizing, I would have made way too much than what TopStep allowed, and I would have went over the consistency. Or than Apex allowed, I would have went over the consistency, and then I would have to trade it a lot more. I'm going to take a payout today, so I didn't want to mess up the consistency, like I said. But yeah, that was really all we had today. We ended up just kind of chopping, running back up to take these highs. ES ran up here, remitigated the midnight open, which sent price down, and then we went straight back up to retest midnight open again, and now we're kind of just doing whatever we want to do now. So that was the trade I took today. Nothing too crazy, a pretty easy trade, but yeah, I'll leave you boys with that. If you have any questions, comments, leave them down in the comment section below. Make sure to go and join the free Discord, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. A lot more good stuff to come. Day 8 also of the mentorship is going to be posted very soon, probably within the next hour and a half, so stay on the lookout for that. But yeah, without further ado, I'll leave you boys with that, and I will catch you probably Friday, because tomorrow, Jimmy Carter's whatever, they're closing the market early. I don't think there's going to be anything good to take, but we'll see. Maybe you might take a trade. Most likely we'll end up coming back on Friday, but yeah, I will catch you probably tomorrow, maybe Friday. But yeah, peace.